Were you surprised by how fast private consumption has fallen in this country, and the current account deficit is no longer there?
No, it doesn't come as a surprise to us at all. You know, the IMF as an international organization has plenty of experience in dealing with the aftermath of banking capital account crises, and this sort of outcome is very typical. You know, there are reasons for this. Obviously, credit is constrained at the moment. People are having difficulty borrowing from their banks at any interest rate. And this is affecting imports of consumer durables like cars. External finance is not really available at the moment. So you can view that as an overriding constraint. I mean, you can only, the current account deficit, the other side of that is that you have to import capital from somewhere. And when the world is actually not trying to export capital anywhere, they're trying to pull it back into the financial centers, the banks that are distressed in other countries. It's very difficult to have any ability to run a current account deficit.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the condition of the banking in the whole world, and the whole world seems to be in a bit of an economic mess at the moment. Can you see when it will bottom out, when we can see the famous light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, you know, the governments around the world, central banks, have been taking extraordinary action for some time now to try to bring that light closer. Massive fiscal stimulus in many countries, reductions of interest rates to close to zero in a lot of the reserve currency countries, and this is going to have some effect. And it's going to put a bottom on this crisis at some point. At the moment, I think you're looking at recovery hopefully beginning as soon as possible, maybe late 2009, early 2010.
But what about Iceland?
Well, Iceland, the goal of this program is to bring the recovery as soon as possible. Now, obviously, there are some uncertainties. The global environment. I mean, to the extent the global environment improves faster than expected, Iceland can also sort of ride that wave as well. But at the moment, we're expecting that the economy will bottom later in this year. And by the end of the year, a recovery, the beginnings of recovery should be evident. I know that sounds like bad news, but in a sense it is. And certainly we're working to try to improve on that trajectory. But there also is good news concerning inflation and the krona, and one also needs to bear that in mind.
See any danger of Iceland defaulting?
I see no danger of Iceland defaulting on its debt. Now, we very carefully study these matters because, of course, we're a lender ourselves, but we want to make sure programs work, deliver results. And we stress test all of our debt scenarios against various shocks, the global economy, to interest rates, to exchange rate, to growth. And we're confident that external debt sustainability can be maintained. We're confident that public debt sustainability can be maintained. And if I could just add here that it's also important to remember, people point to all this debt, but Iceland also has a lot of assets, foreign assets. You have a fully funded pension system with a lot of foreign assets. That's rare globally. The government has a lot of assets, the electricity sector. So, you know, in the banking sector effectively now, which has been nationalized. All of these, one needs to take a broader view of the government balance sheet. And while the gross numbers may be high, the government's net position in its balance sheet is stronger than that might otherwise imply.
Flanagan segir að búast megi við frekari lækkun fasteignaverðs og auknu atvinnuleysi á þessu ári. Atvinnuleysið vari lengur í niðursveiflan. En hann segir íslenskt efnahagslíf hafa einstaka hæfileika til að laga sig að breyttum aðstæðum. Fólk hafi tekið á sig launalækkanir sem sé nánast fordæmalaust. Það gagnist landinu í þjóðhagslegum skilningi. Aðlögunarhæfni hagkerfisins og þjóðarinnar verði til þess að Íslendingar rétti tiltölulega hratt úr kútnum. So the long-term future is rosy?
Yes, I think the long-term future for Iceland is rosy. I mean, a lot of countries have been in these situations, and it looks like the end of the world in a sense, but they come back fairly quickly.